You're listening to Winnipeg's Classic 107. My name is Simon Rusnak. American pianist Maxim Lando has been a star on the rise, a recipient of the prestigious Gilmore Young Artist Award, a first prize winner at the New York Franz Liszt International Competition, and winner of the Vendome Prize, amongst many other top-tier awards and accolades. Lando has garnered international attention on some of the world's largest stages as a soloist, chamber musician, and featured guest artist, all by the age of 20. This weekend, to conclude Virtuosi's concert season, Maxim Lando performs at the Eckhart Grammaté Hall in Winnipeg. First, though, he's joined me remotely. Hello, Maxim.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Well, thanks for taking the time to chat with me ahead of your arrival in Winnipeg. You're currently in New York, is that right?
I am. I'm currently in my dorm room at Juilliard. Yeah, I mean I don't know if you can see the view, but I always love. It's not that much of a view, but it's still New York, so it counts.
Well, the reason I ask is because I was scrolling through your Facebook page and you seem to be all over Florida, Ohio, New Jersey, Michigan, Poland, where you were just performing and an accepting award for your debut CD with violinist Tisilo Probst, which won Best Chamber Music Album of the Year at the International Classical Music Awards. Congrats on that, by the way. All of this in addition to your studies at Juilliard. So let me ask you the obvious question. How do you do it all, Maxime?
It's a question that I've been trying to figure out myself for a while. But it's no, I mean, honestly, I've just been taking it one thing at a time. I'm just super lucky to have gotten to do all these things. And, it's such a joy, especially when you get to just be out there performing. I honestly can't imagine doing anything else. So it's become my life, and it's what I want to be doing, for the rest of my life. But also, with school, I mean, you do the best that you can. You try and adjust it the best. I'm really, really lucky that I have so many teachers that are willing to adjust and willing to really compensate for the schedule and, just work with me along with it. Because it's not always, super easy with that and making up work. So I'm just, I'm super lucky with that.
Well, it's all about finding some sort of a balance and then having those supports in place, which it sounds like you have. You mentioned that, you're kind of living this dream. Do you remember at which point in your life you really realized you wanted to pursue music and piano?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was pretty much since day one. I think I was growing up in a musical environment, so I had just music all around me. And you either love it or you hate it. There's almost never a middle ground with that. So I started loving it from early on, and I don't know when I started getting more serious. I would say probably like 8 or 9. That's when things started to. I wouldn't say that I had any concerts then, but I started to just enjoy it a lot more, and I really started to want to push myself along it. I think probably 10, 11 when I started studying with different teachers, and I really got that kind of kick and that push that this is what I really want to be doing. Um,
To talk about those early musical years, your parents run a music conservatory, is that right?
They do, yeah, they do in Long Island, New York. And I was pretty well raised there from the time of birth. I still remember sitting in on my parents' lessons, and I'd be screaming and crying, and they'd kick me out, and they'd send me to one of their teachers to work in some musical games and play around.
Well, evidently, you were well trained from a young age, and just to kind of work through your kind of trajectory somewhat quickly here, you've gone on to study and work with some pretty iconic names, and just to drop a few of them, Lang Lang, Daniel Hope, and the late Chick Corea. Let me ask you, Maxime, what was it like not only to make music with these people, but just to be around them?
Absolutely. I mean, it was no, it's an experience of a lifetime for each and every one of them. I mean, Long, oh God, I've known him since I think I was 9 or 10, something like that. And he's just, I'm so grateful for everything I'm so grateful for everything that all three of them have done. But I mean, Long took me under his wing when I was at such an early age. And really, really pushed so many different performing opportunities, sent me around the world, paid for all the flights, paid for all the, accommodations. And it was almost like living the dream from, like an early age,
Yeah.
exactly what you were saying. So I mean, I can't say enough good things about him, but I think the words that come to mind are giving. He is so incredibly giving with everybody who he takes under his wing. It's so easy when you are at that height of a level, and when you are, basically the face of classical music. It's so easy to have an ego and to let that take the hold of you, and he has none whatsoever. I mean, he acts like one of us. He acts like a total kid at heart. And it's free spirit, and just a total honor working with him.
It
Um,
sounds like too he really nurtures that next generation, right? And for you as a young artist working with someone like that, it must just be so rewarding.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you never know what, what you're going to hear from him next, in relation to the pieces, but also in relation to just career advice. I think that it's so hard sometimes, especially, once you get past that certain age of, you're labeled as, okay, you're like a young up and coming pianist, and you can live off of that youth for a while. Then you get into your 20s, and it starts to change, and suddenly you're in the whole realm of, well, there's a lot of people that are in this position trying to do the same thing, and all trying to carve out, their own path. And I think Long Long's just a really good person to have as a mentor, to have advice. You can come to him at any time. He's always open, with open arms, and he just gives you that kind of feel for things. You can come with him with any question, and same thing with all the people that run his foundation. I mean, they're all just so open, and so loving. It's one big family.
Well, what a person to have in your corner. And one other person I do want to talk about, when you're talking about kind of carving out your own path and pursuing your own interests. I mean, Chick Corea is someone I definitely want to chat about, because I mean, he's just one of those people who seemingly could do it all, every musical style, and doing it all so well. And I can't imagine someone like that doesn't have an influence on you as a young artist. Does that come through, like, in your playing, or your programming, or a bit of both? How do you think that kind of manifests itself?
Oh, both. I mean, Chick was the number one person who, I feel like before I met Chick, I was almost in this kind of like bubble where I felt like there was classical music, and I was aware of other genres, and I knew that they existed, but I never really put myself out of that box to explore them. And Chick was the first person who, really said, look, music is music. Music doesn't need to have, a label. Music doesn't need to have boundaries. It's, anything can be music. And I love that ideology. I absolutely love it, because it's so true. I mean, you can find music within anything. Literally silence. John Cage's 4 minutes and 33 seconds, which was actually just performed at Juilliard. I mean, that's music in itself, and it's an art form. So Chick was the person who really opened the doors for that. But no, I mean, I'll never forget. Yeah, I mean, I always tell this, but I love it. Yeah, my first meeting with Chick was, we were doing this concert actually with Long Long, and it was this Rhapsody in Blue at Carnegie with the Philadelphia. We did it for, because Long Long had a left hand injury, so he was out of commission for a while, and he came up with the idea to do this 3-hand version of it, have Chick go on another piano, have him just do these wild improvs. And I just remember that for one of the rehearsals, I knew that Chick was about to walk into the door. So I was thinking, okay, what is, something that I can play that will hopefully, make him say, oh, wow, what is this piece? Or, wow, what is that? So I tried to find, just the craziest, most flashy showpiece for the piano that I could find, this Balakirov's Islame, which is...
no walk in the park, that's for sure.
No. Yeah, but that's a roller coaster to play, and it's so much fun too. I mean, I think that I don't think you can have more fun than playing that piece.
Yeah,
so I was trying to time it so that the best section of that was right as Chick was walking in, and right on cue, he walked in, really loved the piece, and that kind of opened up our entire relationship that came afterwards. Where I mean, same thing with Long Long. It was more of a mentorship, and where I could come to him for anything. I mean, I had so many times when I would just call him, especially during the quarantine, just on the phone, and we'd be talking about, if I had a terrible day, for example, or if I had, Juilliard classes weren't going as planned, lesson, was kind of a disaster, call up Chick, and, he would walk through it and say, well, don't let that stuff get to you. And, I mean, you're here to make music. That's what you're here to do. And it made me feel completely better. So it was, it's a complete honor to get to know him. And I wish that I had, a lot more years to get to know him. But, there's not a single day that goes on when I don't think about him.
So if you're just tuning in, my name is Simon Rusnak, and I'm chatting with pianist Maxim Lando, who closes out the Virtuosi Concert season on Sunday. Maxim, you just mentioned the quarantine, the lockdown. This is one of those performances that was scheduled for 2020 and then delayed again. How much are you looking forward to finally being in Winnipeg?
Oh man, I can't tell you how much. I mean, I'm looking forward to it for so many reasons. One, obviously, to play the concert, and it's I hate when things are canceled to begin with. So as soon as we can get them back on the road, that's always a thrill. Especially performing for live audiences. There's nothing that can even be comparable to that. But also, my grandma's from Winnipeg. We luckily, yeah, I mean, literally, I didn't even know what the chances were that it lined up like that.
Well, here I was about to ask you, what do you know about Winnipeg? But you've got a family connection. That's got to make it even more special on a whole new level.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm used to going to Winnipeg. My dad grew up in Winnipeg. Well,
Yeah.
he's from Kiev originally, and then
Yeah.
they moved to Winnipeg from an early age. And no, I mean, we've gone there. We usually make an effort to go there every summer, and we haven't been there, I guess, since before the pandemic. So 4 or 5 years. Luckily, we got my grandma out here to visit, but no, I have so many memories of, the Forks in Winnipeg, and I loved running around there. And they have all the, oh man, I go golfing every single time, and I don't remember what the golf course names are, but I go
Yeah.
with, just some of our family friends, and there's nothing better than grandma's homemade food. You can't beat that. So
Yeah,
it's
you'll be happy to know courses just opened this past week. It's particularly brown right now, but it's getting there. Fingers crossed for you. We're lucky to have you back in town, especially given the successes that you've had over the couple years since you were first booked to be here. And the program is titled Maximum Velocity, which I think is equal parts a fun play on your name, the nature of your performance schedule these days, and your keyboard prowess. I have to say, Maxime, I've watched a few of your performances on YouTube, and man, do your fingers ever fly? It's wild. You mentioned that Islame. I mean, it was a challenge for Scriabin. It seems to pose no issue for you.
I don't know about the no issue part, but it's definitely a lot of fun finger work to deal with. But no, I'm super excited to bring this program over to Winnipeg. It's collection of a lot of pieces that I've grown up playing through over the years, and pieces that I've kind of embodied in my system. I mean, I've grown up listening to Horowitz's recording of the Rachmaninoff Second Sonata. I think that there's actually one recording on YouTube from Carnegie where he breaks a string in the middle of the concert. And you can hear, the audience applauds. They don't really know what's going on. And because he's Horowitz, they bring another piano for him, of course. They always have one on standby. And he continues as if nothing happens. And it's just this, electricity in the room through the entire thing. So
You, you,
that's, I revisit that, from time to time over and over again.
you mentioned Horowitz, who does feature on the program, and I've had a little peek at it. Very 20th century, very Slavic, plenty of keyboard virtuosity, no surprise there. Also, Rachmaninoff and Kapustin and Shostakovich. I know this is painting with a very broad stroke, but what is it about those composers that you're so drawn to?
I mean, I'm just drawn to that romantic, edginess to them. I mean, in rock, usually when it always comes to pieces, I listen to. There's usually like a couple measures. That's all it really takes. A couple measures that have some kind of harmonies that, maybe this is my lack of theory knowledge coming out, but some kind of, hint of these harmonies that mix with each other and they blend in a way that makes me have to go back and listen to it over and over again. So in the Rachmaninoff, there's this one section in the second movement later on that the something about the tones just line up where it's exactly right in my definition, and it hits my heartstrings, like back and forth, and I have to go back and hear it on repeat. So it's that kind of thing that takes place in all of these pieces. And I think the Horowitz Carmen, I mean it's a total virtuosic showpiece, but I love that Horowitz also maintains that flirty nature of Carmen, and you still have that total contrast in it. And well, Shostakovich, I actually just did my first crack at it. I'm not usually great at coming up with arrangements, but I really wanted to try. And I've just been so inspired by the different composers at Juilliard. And I love that whole melody of the da ya da da. It's that very also combination of this classical root with Shostakovich's contemporary nature mixed in with these jazzy influences. So I really wanted to just try and come up with something that was just fun and spontaneous with that. So I just fall in love with these pieces and with the melodies and take it from there.
You mentioned you're arranging. There's also music of Gershwin, his Rhapsody in Blue on the program, and then right in the middle of it all, there's some Mozart, his Piano Sonata in E flat. How does that figure into things?
Absolutely. I mean, Mozart, I'll never forget. The person that comes to mind when I think of Mozart is Robert Levin, who always gives different classes at Juilliard, and he always is one of the guest speakers that comes. And he always has this view that Mozart, it's not just what people used to think of it in maybe a previous century where it's you play everything that's written and it's almost tightened in a box and everything's exposed, so you have to be ultra careful with everything that you're doing. But he opens up your system to make it feel like, okay, Mozart is just as free in some natures as Rachmaninoff and Shostakovich, and obviously it's a very different character and a very different style, but I mean, the stuff that Mozart puts in, especially in, I think a lot of people think of the later sonatas as his experimental works, but I think the early sonatas have plenty of experimentation as well. And there's, just so much, so many different characters that he can put in it, so many different leaps and harmonies where, you're saying, oh, where is he going? And, oh, I didn't expect that part. And it's leading into there. So, I just think it's a fun little bridge in between all of this, heavy romantic and ultra virtuosic, works to have, just some Mozart that just reminds you of the good old times.
Yeah, a little change in the musical palette goes a really, really long way, and it sounds like it's going to be something special. Can't wait to have you back here in Winnipeg, giving a recital as part of Virtuosi Concerts. Maxime, I've one more question for you. I was looking at your Instagram bio, and there are three things noted there. There's piano, which we've talked about aplenty, and then there's also ping pong and pasta. Can you tell us about these other two passions? Is that the right word for them?
Oh man, absolutely. Well, ping pong, I'd say that 90% of the time when I'm not thinking about music, I'm thinking about ping pong. I wake up every single morning and I put on a ping pong video and look at it. I see my roommate at the corner of my eye nodding his head because he knows how much I watch ping pong. I mean, he watches me on a daily basis doing it. But no, it's a huge part of me. I remember from an early age, my dad, got a ping pong table for the back room and not back room, but the basement in our music school. So for a couple of years, it kind of was untouched and nobody really used it. And then we started getting into it and playing around. And I'd say that we've gotten decent at it, gotten good enough that we can give some of our rivals a run for their money. And pasta, I mean, I love food. I can't cook for the life of me. The only thing I know how to make is fresh pasta, but it always doesn't come out well, and it's like a work in progress. So I always underestimate how much I make, and the portions never add up to the quality, and vice versa. But I love eating pasta, so yeah, I mean, those three things, you can't beat them.
Yeah, well, I'm not too sure about the table tennis scene here in Winnipeg, but there are definitely some really, really delicious pasta spots, and I'll give you a list after we're done chatting. Maxime, thanks for taking the time to connect with me here today.
Oh, thank you so much. It was great talking to you.